Welcome to March Malcontent 2023. We're going to get started with our first match, Byleth versus Ridley. If anyone's wondering, the rules are mainly the same as last year. This is the preseason, so these matches are not final. They're not the tournament rankings. However, for these first 40 matches, everyone who makes it in will guarantee themselves a spot in the tournament. Everyone who fails is not excluded, however, they're going to have to beat someone else in order to still make it in. That was a pretty bad air dodge from Ridley there. Right above the ledge, he didn't even grab it. That was another weird air dodge from Ridley there, starting to sense a pattern. Playing on the rock. I don't know if anyone's named that rock. I think it's like the King of the Hill rock. Ridley does not follow up the second half of the combo. Only taking damage to the off-screen bubble, though. Okay, well, now he's taking damage to not the off-screen bubble. But until then, he was doing really good against Byleth. Back to the main stage. Byleth grabs the ledge. I'm a little surprised she had range there. Yeah, anyone on a small mobile device might not be able to see, but this is the green-haired female skin of Byleth. I haven't played Three Houses, but from what I understand, it's supposed to be a plot spoiler. I mean, these days, now Nintendo's moved on to Fire Emblem Engage already, which, granted, does actually have Byleth in it, but it tends to just kind of show off the path of the Fire Emblem games. Some of them are just so much more popular. And now that we're not going to have another Smash Bros. Game for who knows how long, it's entirely likely that the next 4 Fire Emblem games that come out are going to have maybe 1, possibly 2 representatives in Smash Bros. Already, though, the Fire Emblem cast is getting a little insane. Ridley finally getting his first kill. The Fire Emblem cast is getting a little insane. I guess that's kind of what happens, though, when you have a anime RPG game that is kind of turning into a dating simulator, at least for a bit there. So now that they have, hundreds and hundreds of characters, they have more characters to pull from. Meanwhile, a franchise like Mario kind of uses the same 30 or so. But I'll tell you what, if they ever make Super Smash Kart, they're going to make bank. Alright, Byleth is just doing really well against Ridley, getting him killed quickly off the edge, kind of because they keep hanging out near the rock, and Ridley doesn't seem to be doing too much edge guarding. Byleth just handing Ridley his butt to him. He's not gonna... Oh, he barely made that back. He probably should have gone for the left ledge, at least if you ask me. I'll tell you what, fighting that amiibo, Byleth's side B does so much shield stun. Oh, it's called Aerothorn. And it finished off Ridley successfully. Which means that Byleth will have a spot in the final tournament. Alright, now we've got our next match, Chrom versus Pikachu. I realized I should have mentioned last match that for all of these preseason matches, the stage choice is a little bit wider. Not much of a reason, I guess just for variety. Personally, I've always found it a little disappointing how restrictive the rule sets are in professional tournaments. I understand why it's the case, and I don't expect it to change anytime soon. But with a game so big and diverse as Smash Bros., it does get a little annoying to only play on the same 4 stages. But I also don't go to tournaments for, reasons like that, so I don't really have much room to complain. Pikachu trying to get an electric gimp on Chrom twice, fails. Nice tech, though. Nice double tech. Pikachu does seem to be fairly aggressive, and to include a lot of jumping in his playstyle. Not that Chrom can't make it back. He's a character with, well, a lot of his attacks have just very high knockback. However, at the current pace, he doesn't seem to be doing too well. Pikachu air dodging through the jab. Parry does not lead up to a kill. Chrom air dodging away, giving himself the longest amount of lag. Goes for the ledge. I don't even remember if that platform up there has a handheld on it. Chrom makes it back with only 40%, 35% gained. Jumps right into that Thunderbolt, though. Thunder Jolt, Thunder Spark, all the Pokemon moves have names, but in the Pokemon games there are so many moves that are just the same move but a little stronger. So in Smash Brothers it can get a little difficult at time telling what's what. Most extreme is actually that Greninja's up B is Hydro Pump, which is, at least for a while, it was the strongest water-type move. And even these days, it's one of the strongest, depending on, you know, how you define what it means to be strong. Chrom makes it back from that. Getting good with the techs. These Amiibo are just beating the crap out of each other. Good tech again, that might have just saved his life. Oh, Pikachu getting out of the way just in time. That should be... Yep, that's it for Chrom. Now he has to kill Pikachu without the benefits of his rage. Granted, his dash attack almost just did the trick. But every 5 seconds he isn't killing Pikachu is an extra 5 seconds of percent that Pikachu gets back. That dash attack didn't kill either. I'll tell you what, Chrom. Chrom is nailing these techs. But he's keeps hitting with the combo hit as neutral there instead of a kill move. Which on Chrom is a lot of moves. The up air extension off of the Thunderbolt kills Pikachu. Every year we see something new. Now Pikachu spamming those safe aerials. Chrom loves to keep going off the back end of that platform. He hasn't died for it yet. Nice parry. Grounded spike. Don't know what you do after that, but you know, it sends a message. Chrom is just nailing all of these techs. He kind of has to, you know, he's a Chrom, but... I was playing against some less experienced players the other day, and one thing I noticed was that they just kept footstooling off of me all the time. Granted, it's a lot more likely to do that when you're jumping all the time. But also, every time it happened, my first thought was, man, I wish I had done that. Playing at the ledge. Now, they're both at a... Oh, good work at Chrom. They're both at a high enough percent that either of them could die very soon. Right now, Pikachu's a little more likely, just because Chrom hits a little harder, and the Amiibo AI doesn't really know how to combo. Pikachu doesn't even seem to know the up air down B combo, which, for the purposes of this tournament, is actually good that it doesn't know because the amiibo don't DI. Back air not killing Pikachu, putting him in a range where the next move probably will. I'm going for the spike. Pikachu learns to shield that after getting hit by it earlier. Chrom with yet another crucial spike. They're just playing out in this pit of... I don't know what to call it. A pit of something. Take your pick. Chrom could have grabbed Pikachu there, or probably used a whole bunch of his sword moves. Pikachu could have punched Chrom there, but didn't. Chrom dies by not getting attack, as the prophecy foretold. Alright, up next we've got Lucario against Cloud. And it looks like we're on Skyloft. Both initially just charging up their chargeable thing. Thankfully most of these amiibo are rather aggressive, so we don't have to deal with too much passive play. It's more exciting for people too that way. And I'll tell you what, if someone is willing to watch 50 matches of anything, the last thing they want to see is that every single match is a camp fest that goes to time. Cloud got greedy, charged that forward smash too long. Charged that one too, but he actually hit it. It's always a little strange just because these amiibo are still as their primary intent meant to kill people. You can actually see that in some of their training. If these amiibo were meant to fight other amiibo, they would have very different behavior. Honestly, one of the biggest ones is that if it's fighting any sort of AI opponent, it should be walking all the time because it's safer to walk. Just because all of your actions are doable instantly. But when you're fighting against a human, you usually, this isn't always the case, would prefer your amiibo to run just because they'll get everywhere they need to go faster. And especially against a human, having less time to react to any sort of stimulus. Lucario is still alive at 180, by the way. Anyways, as a human, when you have less time to react to something, you're not going to make as good of a decision. But when you're an amiibo, reaction time doesn't matter. So you want to do everything the exact safest and the hardest punishes. And usually just using moves that the amiibo AI has a particular difficulty dealing with. People have done like actual studies. I read up on what was effectively an essay about how all the different amiibo values function. And it was composed like an actual research paper. I'm turning this into the university so that I can obtain my accreditation style report. Cloud seems to love the Limit Break Clim Hazard. It's probably the least whelming Limit Break, mostly because it's obviously meant as a recovery tool. And it'll actually come into clutch more often than you think, because Cloud does gain some limit when he gets hit. Granted, that also means I've had many games that end with Cloud getting punched in the face, getting the little ding from limit, and then dying. Oh hey, Cloud must be listening. He can't be, but if he did, I would have been proud of him for learning. Surprisingly, Lucario seems to be having trouble killing. Granted, it's easier when he has Aura, but he's had it for a while on a lot of these stocks, and he doesn't seem to be using all the moves that are good to use with Aura. Ah, see, getting hit there, intentionally gaining damage so that his aura, which I guess, if anyone doesn't know, when Lucario is at a higher percent, he gets stronger. It's different from the rage mechanic that everyone has, but something you should note is that Lucario gets aura and rage normally. So one weird way to think about it is that it's like super rage. But if you've ever been killed by a Lucario back air at 70, it's probably because Lucario's at 100, 130. God, with these charged smash attacks. That was a rare sight right there. You were able to see Lucario successfully punish Limit Cross Slash. Doesn't happen every day. In fact, it happens annoyingly little, because if you hit their shield with it, it's basically completely safe. How getting killed at... He was 70 after the hit at the ledge. I don't recall the initial value when Lucario's aura starts to build, but he was in that range. Does that kill? That kills Lucario, wow. Congratulations to Cloud for making it to the tournament. Alright, up next, Ryu versus Incineroar. I'll tell you what, every year I do this, I forget about all the dusting I have to do. Because I only have them kept on a shelf right now. I'd prefer to one day get them some sort of enclosure. But the amiibo figures themselves, turns out over the course of the year, acquire dust. Which leads me to the fun fact I learned a while ago. By the way, Incineroar's getting wrecked. Is that when large important organizations of various sorts have anything that's fragile or delicate and they want to have it cleaned, which is usually they have it dusted once a year, the method that they use to clean it is with Q-tips. Obviously other brands are available, this isn't like sponsored or anything, but it always astounds me to find out that once a year 10 people with a bucket of Q-tips have to just start painstakingly dusting off the super delicate whatever. So Ryu could have actually fallen to the ground and still lived. Obviously I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very confident he could have, because the platform was switching between destinations. It's actually a neat little quirk about these sorts of traveling stages, is that sometimes you just don't need to recover. It's interesting things like these that I can understand why they take him out of a tournament, but personally I think it makes the game more interesting. That move can trip? I did not know that move can trip. Granted, it's an aerial, so it's not going to be tripping that much. Yeah, the Incineroar amiibo is supposed to be one of the best. Something to keep in mind, though. First of all, why did Incineroar go with the quick input? Anyways, something you need to know about that, though, is that Incineroar is one of the best when properly trained. Obviously, this is an amiibo trained to kill people. Well, okay, not obviously, but that is their primary intention, to just absolutely destroy people. So if an amiibo uses Side B, the Alolan Whip, like 7 times in a row, most human players are going to catch on and punish accordingly. However, the amiibo AI has a really hard time dealing with moving grab hitboxes. Especially because there aren't that many in the game to begin with. Honestly, Incineroar and Isabel's Side Bs are the only two I can think of at the moment. Yeah, no, those are really all I can think of. So there aren't many. And even then, at Isabel's you can actually shield. Whereas the Alolan Whip you can't. So I can see how that would kind of slip its way through development. But yeah, since Incineroar isn't doing that, you can't guarantee he's going to win every tournament. In fact, he hasn't won any so far. Not any tournament, any April Anger tournaments. Granted, we've only had 3 years of doing this with 2 champions total, so take that what you will. When training Ryu, I was so relieved to find out I did not have to manually train him to cancel all of his moves into other moves. The AI just sort of does that. It also hits random up smashes. And up next we have Falco against King Dedede, who, weirdly enough, after his retraining from last year, he needed the least adjustment out of all of the characters. I don't know what to say, like, once I put him into just training against the other amiibo, he started doing really well, which is weird because he totally bombed during the tournament. Which is also weird because the year prior he'd actually done really well during the tournament. So if you want a wild card, King Dedede is your wild card. King Dedede just jumped into that charge attack. Goes for another grounded spike on Falco. I don't know why he picked that move. It's probably the hardest move to land, and he didn't even get the sweet spot. Letting himself getting ledge trumped, making it back anyway. Random up beyond stage. Huh. Falco seems to really be enjoying it in the air. King Dedede goes for a spike, but doesn't get close to hitting Falco. Which is weird, because he even read the side B. Something infuriating about King Dedede's name is that the amiibo input only lets you go up to 10 characters, because Nintendo's a Japanese company and language works differently in Japan, wouldn't you know it? So 10 characters is more than plenty, but for the English alphabet, where each character is a letter instead of a word, kind of changes the equation a little bit. Anyways, King Dedede's name is like one character too long to fit in the limit. So that's why you get King and then the capital letter D 3 times in a row, because spelling it right was just too long. By the way, that's the amiibo nickname. All these amiibo are nicknamed their character. I thought about giving them all witty, funny, snappy names, but first of all, at this point, that would have been just so many nicknames to figure out. And it also would have made it really confusing to refer to someone if someone's named Crab Knuckle and I say, oh, Crab Knuckle with a really good recovery there. Everyone has to go, okay, now who's Crab Knuckle again? Not that we don't have some overlapping amiibo. I, of course, have house-ruled in the second Robin Kirby amiibo because it's my tournament and I do what I want. But not... In fact, other fighters don't have alternates. Although Pokemon Trainer is weird. Pokemon Trainer has 4 amiibo, only 3 of them in this tournament because I still need to get a Pokemon Trainer amiibo. Wow, Falco turning these around really fast, and I was caught mid-monologue.
Had enough already?
And now we've got Jigglypuff against Olimar. Jigglypuff being one of the several new contenders to the field. Gonna be interested to see how it performs against another amiibo, because in practice, Jigglypuff hit a lot of rests. And since the amiibo have really high stats, it basically always killed me. Seems to have a balanced enough approach against Olimar so far. One of the tricks to playing Jigglypuff is that whenever you have to land, it is often easier to go wide. Basically, since Jigglypuff has the second best airspeed in the game, which coincidentally makes fighting Yoshi really annoying because Yoshi's faster than you are. Anyways, Jigglypuff has a low fall speed but can approach from the side very quickly, making landing easier if you just grab the ledge. Or, you know, just be the bumblebee floating in and out just out of your opponent's clutches. Getting killed early by Olimar, though. Of course, the Olimar amiibo isn't going to be spamming Pikmin as much as you would normally see a player do, but there's something about the speed of his attacks and the reach if you actually have a Pikmin equipped makes Olimar surprisingly capable. I do actually remember hearing back in the day that, back in the days of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that Olimar was a basically useless character because if he didn't have any Pikmin, he wasn't very effective. Well, it turns out that as long as you have a Pikmin, his attacks have a very good reach, and he can just sort of spam them, especially back in Brawl when he had 6. And he has a pretty good grab. Jigglypuff not smacking off one of the Pikmin. That's especially weird because I'm pretty sure neutral air would definitely knock it off, or at least down air. Jigglypuff being a light character who used all of her jumps at the top of the screen for some reason. Anyways, being a light character does not enjoy being at such a high percent. Many things will definitely kill. Also, this stage being a lot more vertical than most stages, which are usually more horizontal, also doesn't help out Jigglypuff, being a very horizontal character. Jigglypuff actually hit off the Pikmin that time. I don't know if it was in an attempt to stuff Olimar's jump from ledge, and Jigglypuff is dead. Kudos to Olimar. Alright, now we've got Fox versus Bowser Jr. The Ludwig costume. Because Bowser Jr.'s colorations are all different, models, different Koopa wings. It's actually a pretty good touch. I'm really glad that the numbers just kind of worked out that way. Oh, Bowser Jr. has finally decided to start playing the game. They're just sort of having fun at the ledge. Bowser Jr. throwing out a whole bunch of forward air. It's actually a pretty okay move. It's out for a while, and the non-initial hitbox still hurts. Gets a good hit on Fox. Fox is going to be able to recover. Risky move by Bowser Jr. right there. Bowser Jr.'s recovery move does leave him more vulnerable than most characters. Most especially if you hit him out of it, which is almost always going to be on his way up, then he doesn't get the clown car back. And he's basically put in a useless state where he can only air dodge, but not even directionally air dodge. Just neutral air dodging. Which kind of makes sense because that's how the move worked in Smash 4 when it was introduced. Bowser Jr. is still recovering from low. No idea how to teach the amiibo that they can side B and jump out of it. Fox with the first kill. Bowser Jr. putting him right back off stage. Playing at the ledge. This is something I've noticed that the amiibo will go a lot for. They'll just keep grabbing the ledge instead of trying to get up from it. Which does lead to parts where they're just kind of both jumping off stage constantly. Especially because if you're ever trying to get back from the ledge, you do get some invincibility. There are some factors like how much percent you have and how long you've been off stage. And Bowser Jr. getting his first kill. He's 90% behind Fox, but... I never really hear this song that much. This is one of the problems of the Minecraft stage. There were some sort of like copyright issues with the guy who wrote most of the original songs. So when it came time to put songs for the Smash stage, they just had a lot less to work with. Like, they just have fewer choices overall. They still did a good job with the songs that they were allowed to use. Especially because it sounds like it's just the guy who wrote the song just wanting a whole bunch of money for his song. Guess that's what happens when you have a widely successful game that started out as a one-man project, though. Bowser Jr. really struggling here to, well, quite honestly, do most things he needs to in this fight. At least he grabbed the ledge. Use the get-up attack, which is usually actually a pretty laggy attack, especially if you hit a shield with it. The idea is that if someone's just hanging out at the ledge, you can knock them off of it and get them out of your way. But if you're not using it for that, you're just using it as a way to get up off of the ledge. There are... I think pretty much every other option is probably better. Fox going for a new, unbefore-seen combo there. Didn't work out. Bowser Jr. goes for a jab to grab. Don't usually see those because it's usually not a true combo. Which means half of all players will just kind of hold shield through it. Those are the players you can usually grab a whole bunch though, so... See there, Fox did use the get-up attack. It did get him back on the stage, but because of... Oh, Bowser Jr. kept his cart. Or he got it back. Anyways, the Mecha Koopa really messed over Fox there. Bowser Jr. can get a quick kill now and avoid getting hit for the rest of the fight. He might be able to not lose the... Picking up the Mecha Koopa 2 inches in front of Fox. What a power move. Fox just needs to remember that he has kill moves to close this out. Even seems to be trying to land some of it. Oh, there's one. Yep, me and my big mouth. Congratulations to Fox, who will be moving on to the actual tournament come April. And for the last fight of this video, we're going to have Roy against Lucas. One of those matchups I feel like we've had before. I always hate saying things like that because that means future me, when I'm editing, has to go and search through everything just to see if I'm talking crap or not. But I also really don't like, you know, dispersing false information, even though it was presented as a unchecked suspicion instead of a fact. Lucas using PK Magnet. You don't normally see it that much because Lucas's PK Magnet only has a hitbox when he dispels it. Unless they changed that and I never noticed it, but... Meanwhile, Ness's now has a hitbox the whole time. It's a very weak hitbox, but people try to use it in combos and stuff. Lucas needs to use PK... Oh, he kept his jump? I could have sworn I saw him lose it. Obviously, I was wrong. Roy going a little far off stage in pursuit of Lucas. It is always one of the risks of edge guarding. If you screw it up, you can be in a worse situation than you began in. Now, Lucas uses backwards, so he actually has to use PK Thunder to make it back. Roy employed a rarely used strategy where you try to body block PK Thunder. It works better on Ness because his has slightly less range. But something that a lot of people don't know about PK Thunder is that when you launch yourself with it, you go a little bit less far if you actually run into anything. So it does mean that if an S or Lucas is at the very length of their recovery's reach, you can throw your body into the way and deny them the last 2 inches they need to grab the ledge. It's really strong hitbox though, so don't do it all the time, otherwise you'll get killed. Like that. I'm surprised Roy lived, to be honest. Ah, Lucas went for the ledge grab, but Roy was on top of that. And Lucas goes for the up throw. That'll kill. Roy is absolutely nailing all of those dash attacks. And he's hit most, if not all of them, with the strong hitbox as well. Just a little cherry on top to annoy the Lucas, I guess. Hey man, that far down and Lucas still made it on top of the stage. Didn't even have to grab the ledge. Lucas with a Build-A-Bear combo. Roy just fell into that. That is entirely on Roy. That is Roy's fault. He could have done almost anything else to not get killed. If that down air had hit Roy, that probably would have been the game. Lucas really seems to have come into his own, as if he suddenly knows how to play the game. Getting hit with the second hit of Roy's down smash. As a general rule, for any down smashes that hit on both sides, one after the other, the second hit usually does more knockback. Roy lost his jump. Good job to Lucas. Lucas is going to be making it on to the tournament. I hope you enjoyed this first episode. We've got a whole bunch of more episodes to come in the month of March.